You're listening to the EatSleepLift.com podcast. I'm Dennis, and that's Jason. This is episode number 14, coming to you from Sunday once again.
Coming to you from Sunday.
Yeah.
You should say we're coming from you from the future.
Well, it's more like
December
the past.
December 22nd.
I was gonna say, yeah, we're in the final month of the end of the world, apparently, according to some people. You
And we are
doing?
broadcasting this from a warehouse using our radio
This is a
antenna.
ham radio signal. Beep 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 beep. Do you
If
actually know how
humans
to?
out there are still lifting weights, please let us know where a gym is.
Hey man, you can use those if you can concoct some kind of machine that shoots 2.5 pound plates. It might be pretty good. Those things are
That
heavy.
shoots them? Why do you want
Yeah,
to
it's
shoot them?
like a slingshot type thing. I dropped
I remember
a
work out with them.
well yeah, but yeah, I think you're not gonna be able to find too much protein in the post-apocalyptic world probably.
I'll eat other people.
Well, yeah, well, do you have any recipes for people? They say
I
it
got
tastes
some
just
mojo seasoning.
yeah, they say it tastes just like people. I mean, they say it tastes just like pork, but yeah,
I wouldn't know.
yeah, I don't either. But wink,
Although I
wink.
just got this awesome picture of you
Doing what?
being your little radio host self.
No, okay.
I
Um,
just sent it to you. You'll see it on Gmail.
no. So have you been doing anything in preparation for the end of the world?
I've been eating a lot.
Working on your cardio so you can avoid the zombies?
No, I haven't been working on my cardio. I probably should though. I thought about it. My girlfriend's dad went running yesterday, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go running too. But then I was like, nah, this couch is too comfy.
Oh Jesus! You really should start doing some cardio. But yeah, you don't do anything except lift weights.
That's all you need to do.
Uh,
Get your heart rate elevated for 2 hours a time at night for 5 to 6 days a week.
well, yeah. I mean, I will say I have run faster miles when I don't actually run. Like when I actually work out heavy, I'll have a faster mile time than I do when I'm quote unquote
That's
training
a
running.
that's the thing though. I don't know. I used to run well all through high school. Well, eighth grade through 12th grade, track and cross country. So that's 5 years of just straight running. And then I was happier than ever to kind of quit
No, so it's kind
and
of
have not had any, I guess, wanting or urging to go back to running.
hmm.
Don't get me wrong, I've tried it, but it's just hard to because where I used to be and where I am now, I'm like jogging like a 10-minute mile.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Where I
Oh,
used to, I actually was sub 5 minute mile there for a while in high school.
really? Was that like a
Yeah,
first mile or was that like the same like on mile four?
no, well the track I did in 1 mile, 800 and 4x8, and I used to run the 1 mile in less than 5 minutes. I mean, it wasn't amazing. It was probably like 450, but still break the 5 minute mile.
Well, it's funny that you kind of quit cross country because one of the reasons you started working out was because your girlfriend told you to work out, right? Wasn't that one of the reasons?
No, I had always worked. I started working out in high school
Uh huh.
and got really into it, but I had to either choose between weightlifting that I picked up in like 11th grade or continue with running, which I was already been doing for 3 years straight, or 3 or 4 years straight. So I mean, it's kind of just logical to stick with running and finish out um, high school with running
Hmm.
and actually do something I was decent at, where I wasn't great at weightlifting in high school because I had just started. But then I got into college and didn't run anymore, and yeah, started going back to the gym, which was spurred by my girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say is because I guess a study that came out this past week that women look at weight before they look at masculinity when choosing to mate, which is kind of weird how that works out.
Well, she said I was like too skinny, which I weighed 150 probably. But now she says I'm too big and I have a fat face. So she said, just became before I came in here to start recording this. She goes, "You have a fat face."
So the study's true.
Yeah, I believe so.
Your waist size is affecting your
She goes, "You should probably
attractiveness.
start thinking about slimming down." I'm like, "What?"
Oh snap! She told you not to eat so much.
She did call me fat.
Wow.
Told
It's
me I
like
had a fat face.
she's gonna be like, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing any cardio?"
I'll tell her I'll do some cardio when she decides to do some.
Ooh, that's a hateful word right there.
Yeah, I'll probably get slapped because she probably just heard me say this.
Yeah, she probably didn't. Nobody listens anyways. But yeah, so that's the only thing I have in the news this week that I saw. I don't know if you saw anything.
I think it's true though. I did see it. I saw it and I read it and I started talking to it or started talking to my gym partner
Hmm.
on. I think I talked to him. Yeah, it was Monday about it. Monday or Wednesday of this past week about that, and I think he tended to agree with me. I was trying to prove the point more because I was showing we were in the gym and we're at the big gym in Tampa there, where all the I guess all the it's like the hot hangout for all the like mid 20-year-old
The
really
pre-club club.
yeah it's like yeah Club Med there and a lot of good looking girls. But it's interesting though because a lot of the girls in there that are I guess we'll just say very attractive walk around with guys that don't lift weights or they come into the gym to do cardio.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I
have you
mean,
ever seen that where like the girl's physically bigger than the dude? I mean, I've seen that quite a bit actually. There's actually,
but the
yeah,
big guys in the gym though, I don't see them with any decent looking girls.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I think it's true though. I think it's true what they said.
I actually overheard somebody at Muay Thai the other day saying talking about her weight or something, and she's like, "Oh, I'm up to like 170." And you think 170, you're thinking, "Wow, that girl's fat." No,
Yeah,
but this girl's she's just muscular, and she's not like overly muscular, but she's she's strong, and that goes to show like the whole people like, "Oh my God, I'm putting on too much weight." Like it's muscle. Don't freak out. Like you can actually gain weight and look better. But people freak
but
out like, "Oh my God, I
but
hit
it's
120."
funny
You're
though
like, "You're fine."
when a lot of the girls that I've talked to that I'm like, oh, you should probably go or not probably should go to the gym, but you should probably like try this at the gym or like that. Not suggesting they're fat, but they were interested in starting going to the gym, and I was like, oh yeah, talking to them about it, it's like that, and but a lot of them have said to me, they're like, oh, I don't want to gain muscle and look huge. I'm like,
Oh, you'd be
yeah, you
surprised how
don't
many
really have
people
to
believe
worry
that.
about that.
I know somebody who actually knows somebody who said that she can't work out because if she does like a single push up, she's gonna put on like massive amounts of weight. Like that just doesn't happen.
No,
You're that's just retarded.
for a girl to actually start looking manly, they have to do a lot of steroids.
Oh yeah, but they don't.
I've never
Mm,
seen a girl that's been natural that has been like, ew, that's not good. That's not good looking. The Miss Natural, Miss Universe Natural, or whatever it is, the competition,
yeah,
fitness competition where you don't, it's I guess regulated against steroids, just like that. I mean, she's Miss Universe. She lives in I think in Tampa here with us, but she travels around the world and does the competitions. And you wouldn't say that she's manly, but
yeah. I
yet
think I
she's
saw
like
her
one
one
of the
time.
best,
She's
like toned fitness models, and she lifts weight.
yeah. She's. I remember. I think I remember saw her that one time, and yeah, she's fit and she's hot. She's not a. Yeah, you would
Yeah,
never go.
and
Oh my
she's
God, is
not
that a dude or a
manly.
chick? You're like,
She's
that's
not
a
manly.
chick. And she goes to the gym.
Now there are a few girls at my gym that do steroids,
Yeah, we've
and
talked
but
about
it's
them
very
before.
obvious to tell. You get the very manly features, the extended like jawline,
The
and
deep voice. The deep
the
voice sounds like
yeah.
down here.
Well, there's like Starla there is what I call her. I think you've heard her,
Yeah, she was working out with
maybe.
her gym partner, who I thought was who when you hear them speak. Yeah, I remember we talked about a couple podcasts ago, where like they're literally like interchange like voices. Like when he speaks, he's like way up here, and she's like way down here. At least I
Yeah,
recall it. Yeah, yeah, that's it's very interesting how that works.
that was awkward when I turned around and saw the man was speaking, and the woman was speaking. The woman had a way deeper voice than anyone in the entire gym.
Yeah. So you actually moving on. You actually had a very interesting, very humorous instant happening this week. If you don't mind retelling the tale of your close your close encounter to death
I do not
and your
mind.
heroics.
I instantly called you after I got out of the gym, which I know you don't like talking on the phone.
Yeah, I
So
knew it was
it
something
was,
important or something that couldn't wait.
yeah, I only call you when it's something very important or I might be upon like dying or something like that.
Yeah, talking on the phone is such a pain in the ass. Like I could literally have like maybe 10 minutes a month and be perfectly fine.
But yeah, this was well worth it. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, and I realized after when we hung up, he told me we were like 25 minutes on the phone, which is very
Because it was
very
hilarious.
yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll I guess give the
Rewind.
whole like preface and go into it. So just bear with me out there because this is gonna be it's gonna be a little bit of a setup here, but it's gonna be well worth
It's
it.
worth it. There's a
Um,
lesson to be learned.
so for all those listeners out there, I work in Sarasota, but I live in Tampa. So I split the gym days between a gym in Sarasota and a gym in Tampa. And at I think it was on Wednesday, no, it was on
It
Tuesday, I
was, yeah,
think.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, I was at my gym in Sarasota. And this is a small gym. It doesn't really cater that much to, I guess, powerlifting or much of like free weightlifting in general. It's about 90% machines and they're 10% maybe free weights. They have like two squat racks and I think maybe two benches maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's not huge, and so you're kind of confined. The free weights are kind of confined to a small area, so everyone's kind of crowded in there. And well, we were squatting. My gym partner and I were squatting in one of the two squat racks, and this was the squat rack. There's one if you're facing a wall. There's one to the right and one to the left, and there's maybe about 2 feet in between them. They're very close together. It's just enough so that both the bars don't hit each other if someone's doing exercises. But you couldn't walk in between the two squat racks while people are lifting because they'll hit you with the bar ends of the bar. But so we're on the right hand side, and we're doing squats, and this kid comes up, and I mean he was just kind of awkward looking, and I mean he wasn't big or anything or muscular or anything like that. So he comes up to us initially, and he goes, you guys mind if we join in?" And at this point, we're already like at the tip of our pyramid because we were doing
Mm-hmm.
a pyramid workout that day for our squats, and I mean we were 315 plus on the squats, and he comes up and he's like, "You mind if I jump in?" And like, "Well, you want to jump in on this weight?" And he was like, "No, I'm gonna have to warm up, and I'm gonna have to take it down, and start with like 25 and then 45 and work up the way up." And I mean, I flat out told him no. I was like, no. I was like, I'm not going to unrack all this weight, drop it down to 95 pounds, and then 135, and then 185, and then 225 for you. I was like, that's just going to destroy our workout here. Trying to do all this for you. I was like, if we were early on in the workout, yeah, maybe. But anyway, so he goes to our squat rack to the left, which there was like two young kids curling on the squat rack. So he basically went and asked them if he could do squats while they did curls in between that. And so, anyways, we get done doing squats, and this kid's still doing squats. And let's mention that he was not actually doing squats. He was doing what he thought was squats, but weren't actual squats. It's where basically he took the bar, unracked the bar, and I'm not kidding
Two
you,
incher.
he maybe went down like 2 inches and
Two
back up.
inchers.
Yeah, it wasn't. You could not consider this a squat. He wasn't getting anywhere close to parallel or even a little bit above parallel. It was off the rack, down 2 inches, and then back up. And so there's he's working out to the squat rack to the left of us where we were, and then on the left of that squat rack is a dip bar. I mean, it's very close. It's still like probably like 5 feet to the left of his squat rack. And so that was the next on our list to work out was going to do some dips. So he's still doing squats. I think at this point he was probably up to like 315, and so we're doing dips, and the this one personal trainer who we're friends with comes over, and he's in between training people, so he comes over and he strikes up a conversation with us, and we're sitting there talking, and this kid, I'm watching this kid, he goes up to like he goes up to 425, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I was like, this kid's about to, his knees are going to collapse and he's going to fall in on himself because there's no way he could actually lift this. But he does his thing. He, unracks it, goes down at this point maybe an inch, does it one time, then re-racks it. And we go back to doing our dips and talking to this personal trainer there. And the personal trainer and my gym friend are standing in between the dip rack and the squat rack that the other kid is working out on. And we're standing to the left of his squat rack,
Very close proximity.
very close proximity. And so I'm doing dips, and the personal trainer and my friend have their backs to the kid that's doing his squats, and I have my face towards him, talking to my friend and the personal trainer. And this kid has the bar rack, and he's unracking the weight. He's done. So, and I noticed though that he's taking only the weight off on the right hand side of the bar. So the left hand side of the bar, which is closest to us, still has four plates and a 10 on it.
Which, if you know anything
And
about physics, your center of was it center of gravity? No, center of what's it called? Like center of momentum. Oh my god, whatever it's called. Yeah, it's gonna shift when you take weights off.
and you don't have to know anything about physics to realize that this was
It's
just a
common
bad
sense.
idea. Yeah, it's common sense. You put a ton of weight on one side of the bar, take off all the weight on the right hand on one side of the bar, it's gonna flip. So this kid, he at this point, he has four plates and a 10 on the left hand side of the bar, and he has a 45-pound plate still on the right hand side of the bar, which I was very surprised it didn't already start lifting up. And I'm like, okay, this kid's just being a jackass, but he's going to come over on the left hand side and start taking weight off. And so I'm sitting there watching this, and he has a 45 in his plant in his hand, and he goes and puts it up. And he comes back and he puts his hands on the last 45 that's on the right hand side of the bar. Okay, so at this point, I basically grab my friend and the personal trainer, and I was like kind of I tell him to watch out, and I push him out of the way. And this kid, as soon as he pulled that last 45 out, the right hand side of the bar just went straight up. The left hand side of the bar went straight down, and then the whole entire bar just basically did a flip and came smashing down because there was a clip on the left hand side of the bar holding the weight on. So the right hand side of the bar just went straight up, left hand side goes straight down, and it just basically like flipped over upon itself and went smashing into the floor, like right in between us, like right where we were just standing,
Now,
right there.
I know this is kind of a weird question, but why didn't you just yell like "stop" or something so that hopefully the kid
There,
would?
I like I said, I didn't actually think he was stupid enough to take the last 45 off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought he was going to go around, and as soon as I saw him actually touch it, I knew that he wasn't going to stop. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because well, for one thing, he had headphones in. For another thing, I probably pissed him off earlier for him not, wanting around us taking their weight off. So I figured the last person he'd probably listen to was me. And there was a moment, like a split second, where it occurred to me to run over and kind of hold the other side up until he put the weight back on.
Mm-hmm. But that would have
But
been that's just a
I would
bad
have put
idea.
myself in danger, and I didn't, to want to take the chance. So this entire bar like flips over on itself, like does like a couple like it's like it was
It's just
insane.
like rolling everywhere, probably
It well
like
the
catapult
right hand
style.
side the right hand side that had no weight on it just went straight up in the air. The left hand side fell off the little hand or holders whatever
Yeah,
you want to call them,
the
and it just like went it, it just like flipped over on itself, had this huge crash,
Do you guys have
and
mirrors or anything in that
huh
gym? Do they have mirrors or anything in that gym? Like, it would have been
yeah.
funny if it just like cracked mirrors on the way down and everything.
No, I'm surprised none of the mirrors fell off the wall, but none of them did. And there was this huge hole left into the ground where the corner of the bar with all the weight on it hit, and like everyone, myself, my friend, and the personal trainer were just like standing there in shock at this kid, and this kid was just kind of standing there like, what just happened? And I mean, I got pissed off at the kid. My friend didn't know what to do because he's newer to the gym, and the personal trainer guy got kind of pissed off too. And then like the manager of the gym like runs over. At this point, the entire like the music cut off the gym. Everyone kind of like formed like a circle, like walked over and formed a circle because they thought someone had been like killed or something like that. And they're all staying there like. And I remember there's like one kid like in the back of the ground, the crowd was like, "Did he unrack all the way from one side?" We're like,
Jackass.
I was like, yes, that is exactly what he did. And the manager came over and he's like, is everyone all right? He goes, I heard a big crash. He goes, what happened here? And I was like, the idiot kid dropped all the weight off the rack or off the bar. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I see all the weight. Where's all the weight on the right hand side? I'm like, no, he unracked all the weight from one side and let the other side just flip to the ground. And he's like, are you serious? And he like turned to the kid. He's like, what's wrong with you? And the kid was like, oh, it's my first day in the gym. I was like, that's a bunch of crap. I was like, no one on the first day in the gym comes in and attempts to squat or even put 425 on the bar. I was like, this
Well,
kid's just an idiot.
they do if they think that they can do it because they don't know how to actually do it.
He was a special person, let's just say that. But that was the excitement for the gym, and I called Dennis. I was much more, I guess, enthusiastic about it and excited about it. I had all my I guess adrenaline pumping and stuff
Yeah,
like that at that time. But
but
I was
it's
just like, I have never seen someone with that just much stupidity in a
and
gym
the thing is,
before.
it sounds stupid, but it's one thing that sometimes you just don't notice, and like you might just it depends on the like the squat rack you might have or whatnot, because sometimes you can take off say 3 plates on a bar and it'll stay fine like you said it did there, but sometimes you take one off and you can see the bar shift already, where two might just throw it off completely. So it's when you got to be vigilant of it, and not so much just yourself, but others like that. There's a lot of people who are clearly new to the gym or don't know that kind of stuff, so you have to pay attention to that. I mean, I've seen it too. I don't know if I told you that one time where I saw this guy benching, and there was a bunch of people around him, and I just see the plates slipping every time. He was repping out, and I'm just watching. I'm like, man, do I say anything to this kid or just kind of watch this disaster? But I was like, there's people around. Like, hey, man, you might want to put a clip on there. He's like, oh, thank you. But yeah, it just yeah, it must happen a lot more often than we think because there's been a couple holes patched in my gym. Like I remember there was a couple, and then they patched them up, and now there's more. So it's probably pretty common issue. People thinking they can get in there and be all badass and do a lot of weight, but yeah,
Well,
they
I
can't.
mean, I see this kid. I saw him. I think I saw him on Thursday as well, and he was doing curls, and he was like doing like full body curls. So he's definitely a newer person to the gym.
He's like, I curl 500 pounds.
I was just curious to ask him. I'm like, where else have you worked out that you haven't needed to unrack the weights, in a proper fashion? I mean, have you been in the woods just like picking up like trees?
Now you know what you
I
should
don't
do.
understand.
What you should do is try and take him under your wing.
No.
Well, I know you say no, but it'd be. I mean, think about it. It'd be very interesting with regards to what you could teach him, and you might even learn something. Like they say, like what's the saying that in order to know, you have to teach or something like that. Like the best
I
way
mean,
to.
I guess, but you know how much opposition you get into a gym with someone when they think they're doing everything right. Like this kid clearly like thinks that he knows what he's doing in terms of squats. Like
Well,
he thinks he can do 425 pounds on a squat rack. When I tell him that he has to go all the way down to below parallel to actually be considered a squat, he's gonna have to like drop it back down to like 185 to actually do a complete squat. He's not gonna want to do that because then all of a sudden he looks like a pussy. I mean, I don't know.
well, you never know. I mean, he just might be looking for direction, and it's kind of misnomer because a lot of times, you walk in somewhere and then you think that the you automatically think that the I guess the biggest baddest person is the biggest guy there, and that's not true. The most important person that you see is not the biggest guy, but rather the most influential guy. And I think we get into this notion that you got to be big at the gym and be able to everywhere, and it's not necessarily true. So you never know. He might be open to you just being like, hey, I know this is kind of weird and most people don't like criticism, but do you mind if I show you how to squat so you don't kill anybody? Speaking of which, what the hell
Yeah.
is up with this woman today? We're sitting there on the squat rack, right? And there's two other open squat racks, and she decides to do um what's that exercise called?
T-bar rows.
Yeah, T-bar rows on our rack. Like what? That was just weird.
Well, and they actually have a T-bar section of the
Yeah,
gym where they actually have a plate drilled into the ground that holds the bar for you, so you don't have to put it in a corner and don't have to have someone to stand on it.
yeah. She kept like looking
Um,
at us and stuff. It's
but
very
that's the
weird.
thing, yeah. She like came over, she put it into the corner of our squat rack, put like a 45 on the back of it to hold it, and then was doing T-bar rows right underneath where we're trying to squat. Like we couldn't squat because we hit her in the head.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know it wasn't like she wasn't checking us out or anything. At least I don't believe so. I'm just curious. Maybe did we look funny or something? Like I don't know. It was just very very weird.
I don't know why she chose to, I guess, start doing her T-bar rows on our squat rack or next to our squat rack. But if you noticed, every single time, like when she was going, she was always watching us, like curious as to what we were doing. Um,
Maybe she'd never seen squats before.
that's what I was thinking. Like she'd never seen squats or never had seen that heavy of squats being done. I don't know.
Yeah, we weren't doing anything heavy either today. Which speaking, that's the other part I wanted to touch upon is we try to do a lot more of the spotting on the squat.
Well, you wouldn't do it.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why. For one thing, it helps. But I noticed when you were doing it to me, obviously I was struggling a lot more with the higher weight, and it almost felt like when you were kind of holding me, I felt like I was falling backwards more, and I think that was throwing me off as opposed to
Falling backwards.
well, because like obviously I was struggling with this. You were basically helping me on it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
since we weren't doing like PRs, we were just kind of trying to rep out higher weight. I don't know. It felt really weird. Like when I would get down, I was like getting stuck at the bottom, and then you'd pull me up, but I guess to be just enough of a pull backwards. Um,
Well, I
for
was
you that
pulling your
I
upper
guess it threw me
chest.
off. Yeah, I know, but I don't know. It was very weird. It threw me off a lot. But then again, I wasn't really doing my breathing correctly or anything. But yeah, we didn't quite hit our goals today. And it's funny because I saw that. I know you saw it too. There's the tape that we put down. What last week was it?
Mm-hmm.
It's still there. I guarantee you, people who if anybody uses that squat rack, they're using that tape.
Yeah, I know.
It'd just be really funny to see how I
That squat rack was aligned with that piece of tape all week when I was there.
I'd like to put like a hidden camera and just see like people go up to it, but nobody's gonna use that rack anyways because it has no safety bars. But just go up to it and like they see it and it just automatically align with the tape and just, or maybe they think that the tape is to align the squat rack. You know?
I don't know, but yeah, it's still there. No one picked it up.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. Um, but yeah, the spotting thing I mean, it does help. We did get extra reps out of it.
You got 7 reps at 315 on your burnout when you thought you'd only get like three.
Did I get seven? That's
No, you got 5.
I got five. Yeah.
That's 2 extra reps though,
God, it's so aggravating.
past what you expected.
Yeah. 315
I
used to be like
mean,
fucking
tell
one.
me that didn't help you.
Oh yeah, no, it helps, and it's just like we were saying, like you were telling me, magic hands, like when your workout partner spots you on
For a
the bench.
bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a psychological thing. And that's also something you learned from another person you met at the gym this week, right? Was it?
Um, that was from that 60-year-old Asian guy that I do squats with. I was doing squats with on Tuesday.
Uh huh.
The guy that like he like basically he plays around with like 405
Yeah.
on squats, but he tells me there's a lot of different techniques he uses. For example, I mean he's been a personal trainer for 35 years. Um, his son, who I've seen in the gym before, is the biggest guy I've seen in person before. He actually is a pro rank bodybuilder
Mm-hmm.
around the world, and that's what he does is competitions all around the world for bodybuilding. Um, but I work out with his dad, who's a 60-year-old like 5 foot 5, 140 pound Asian guy who reps out 405 on squats, on deep squats too. And he gave me a bunch of pointers for getting into heavier squats because I noticed this guy he sticks to himself, and he doesn't like to help out people who don't do squats right because I've noticed been a bunch of people that have been working out doing squats next to us like when we're doing squats,
Mm-hmm.
and he won't really offer them any advice like people who are not going like doing good deep squats or correct squats. He doesn't like to give them any advice. But when he's talking to us, and I mean, this is the second time I worked out with him, so I guess he got to know us better. But he was all of a sudden he was like very correctful and very helpful on squats because that's his main uh, his main exercise in life is just doing squats. It's the best workout you can do. And he knows that a lot of people don't actually like doing squats, or if they do them, they won't do them correctly because it's hard to go deep on your squats.
Yeah.
Um, he says most people are just concerned with their arms or their chest. And he goes, they basically they neglect squats or legs altogether. And he's told me he's been doing that's the one exercise that he's been doing for 35 years. And clearly he's 60 years old and repping out 4 or 5 easily for three to 4 sets, um, a time. And he gave me a bunch of advice. And he said if you want to get your squat bigger, because that's what he kind of asked me what I want to do with doing squats, like where I want to take it and where I expect to be. And he said, he basically gave me a bunch of pointers, and one of those pointers was always having a spotting partner on squats when you get into your heavier weight. Now, heavier weight, you're talking about something that you can do, five reps or less. But he said you always need a spotter that's just sitting there physically holding you, not helping you, but just has that physical presence there to get your mind over matter, basically, and be able to get out a few more reps. And we did this. We tried this. Um, he said, okay, my friend was there. My friend, he struggles with 315. He does it well, but he's like a 2 to 3 rep type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we let him do it by himself. And this is about his second set at 315. So it wasn't his first one. His body was already used to the weight, and we let him do 315. He got it, I think, 3 times. The third time he was struggling pretty hard. And he said, "All right." And he goes, "I want you to go and I want you to spot him. And as soon as he unracks the bar, just go ahead and grab him. Go ahead and act like you're spotting him." And so I did. Got up behind him. He unracked it. I immediately just grabbed him, and he cranked out 5 reps at 315. Blew past the third one easily. Fourth one, no problem. Fifth one, he struggled a bit, but it was still a clean rep.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that's what you have to do, because he said you just got 2 more reps than you would have. And he goes, if you do that on every single workout with every single one of your big lifts, we're talking, deadlift, you can't really spot them that well, but on bench, you do the magic hands, as I call them. And then on squats, you do the spotting of a person. He goes, you're going to get, even if you're not maxing out, you're still getting 2 extra reps on a heavier weight, than you normally would have. And he goes, imagine what you can do. Like if you do a max and you have someone there, and what you would have got one time, you're now getting twice. You just doubled your PR, just by having someone there, which is going to help you grow immensely compared to if you're just doing that 1 rep, or you're just doing 3 compared to 5. It's basically you're almost doubling all your heavier lifts just from a mental standpoint.
Yeah, you're pushing the limit that your body's
You
used
can
to.
you can do it. It's just your mind is holding you back from doing those extra reps, because you're like, oh, what if I fail? I mean, no one likes to fail, but you feel insecure when you go down and the weight is too heavy. You're not coming back up. You go into like a panic mode, and no one likes feeling that. And that's why you have the safety bars there, but you still get that feeling of just despair and defeat, and just kind of like it's like you're going into shock, from you're like, oh, I can't get this, I'm gonna die, you're gonna collapse on yourself, or something's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen. But when you have someone there that's sitting, that's gonna catch you. If you can't get it, it's okay, because someone's there to catch you. All of a sudden your muscles can work to their hardest, and work to 100%, and all of a sudden you get 2 extra reps, or 1 extra rep or whatever. But it's going to help you grow immensely. And he said he wears a belt, and he wears knee wraps when he gets into heavier weight. And he goes, it's not even so he can rely on his belt to save him in his form, and the knee wraps aren't there to save him or add extra weight. He said it's an entire mental just workout that he's begun, where he puts on the belt, he puts on the knee wraps, and he goes, he feels them there. And he says over the years, it's worked him up to be into his kind of like, it works it to his mental state advantage.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that the belt is there to help his form. He knows that the knee wraps are there to save his knees. And he says it just helps him mentally. It's not about lifting heavier weight. He could do the weight by himself, unbelted and unwrapped. But he says it's a mental thing with him. He says when he squats, he eats the same thing every single time. He wears the same clothes every single time. He's been wearing the same sweats, the same shirts, for 30 years. And
Old
that's just
ass
because
clothes.
it's his routine. Every time he does squats, he has to feel the same. He can't feel off. He can't feel different, or else mentally he gets thrown off, and he won't be able to work out as well.
Well, it's
I
just
mean, he's
like
very
how
methodical about his workouts.
that's just like how like baseball players and the sports stars though. Like I remember, I think Wade Boggs used to eat like a whole thing of like chicken wings or something before he played ball, because that's how and people get like their lucky left sock and lucky right sock. Um, yeah, it makes sense.
And that's what this guy does. I mean, this guy is 6 years old. He is repping out 405, no problem on squats. I'm going to listen to him. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So, and that's the whole standpoint. I mean, I've already, I've going to be obtaining, wraps here shortly. I got a belt and wraps coming. I'm going to try out, what he's doing. And, I've always been opposed to wearing belts. I've always been opposed to wearing wraps because I don't want to feel like I have to use a crutch to train, and all of a sudden you go to like a raw powerlifting meet, you're not allowed to wear a belt, you're not allowed to wear wraps, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need my wraps, oh, I need my belt, or I missed that lift because I didn't have my wraps or belts. I don't want to be like that. But, on one hand, if it's going to mentally prepare you to get that extra 1 or 2 reps on your workouts, I mean, it's worth it because you do that, you train up to your raw event, and then, I mean, you may not get your max of what you could do with wraps or a belt, but you still increased your max way over what you would if you weren't training with a belt or wraps.
Yeah.
So he was like talking about it in squats. He goes, say with a belt, you can squat, like 550 or something like that with belt and wraps. And he goes, okay, you still then you open up on a squat with like 520, a raw squat with 520,
Hmm.
and then from there you go up. Then you try to get your 550, raw. You might get it, you might not, but you still get that 520. Whereas if you weren't training with, the gear, then you might still be down, at like 500 or 480 or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's one of those. As long as you keep in the back of your head that you still do like raw, but just I mean, yeah. Yeah. It's a mental thing.
Well, and that's what I've talked to some powerlifters about it because I told them I was like kind of worried. They all use belts, they all use knee wraps and stuff like that. And I told them I was really worried about switching to going from completely raw training to using a belt and knee wraps, um, and then trying to go and do a raw lift. And they said what they do is a lot of them, they will use it up until like a month before the meet, the raw meet, and then all of a sudden they'll just stop training with that with the wraps and the belts to see what their lifts are going to be at the meets raw.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Um, you get that stuff for Christmas, right?
Yeah,
So it'll be a while before you can get a
but I
review
ordered
of
a
it.
custom belt because if you could get it in standard black, and they always kept standard black in stock. But if you wanted any other color, you had to. It's like a custom order that takes
Hmm.
4 to 6 weeks or whatever. So of course I had to get the custom order. I had to get custom colors:
What did you get?
red, white, and blue.
Oh, okay. It's not a bad.
Got to lift for America,
True.
lifting America,
I'm
one day at
trying
a time.
trying to think what colors would. And you got the lever stuff, right? The lever type.
Yeah, I went with the 10 millimeter lever belt. I didn't go with the 13 millimeter. The 13 millimeter is more preferable for squats,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to allow you to use for any other workout because of how stiff it is. It's like a board. Um, so I went with it, and I tried a 13 millimeter about 2 weeks ago. I squatted with the 13 millimeter, and it helps. It is stiff as a board, um, but it definitely helps with heavy squats. The 10 millimeter is more flexible, but you can use it with a variety of lifts.
Mm-hmm. I was just saying,
Whereas it,
how much do you think it's gonna help you on, say, like your deadlift and because your bench, this belts don't really help much. I don't think. I mean, they
you
can, but
know,
not. It's not the same
I'm not gonna be one of those guys that wears a belt to do bench press on. First off, my back is not even leaving the bench to begin with,
Uh
so
huh.
I don't know, how much it would help anyways if I wore it. But I don't expect. That's the thing is I don't expect to increase any of my lifts by any weight just by using a belt.
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's just the mental confidence thing that you need sometimes.
I What I really think is the breathing techniques that we've been using um, during the past couple of weeks have actually helped me a lot more in terms of lifting heavier weight. Um, like today, when we were doing a little bit of heavier lifting, I noticed that when I took a deep breath before actually doing a squat, the weight actually felt lighter than when I had unracked it and not had a deep breath. I don't know why. Might just be psychological, but
Well, you're probably not as tight. I mean,
I
that's, I
don't
mean,
know what it
you don't,
did. It
you don't
maybe,
have your diaphragm
made my
and your
posture
core.
better. It did something that seemed to decrease the weight, um, or the feeling of the weight on me. I did that. I did that last week with deadlifts. I went up to. I mean, I was doing supersets with squats and deadlifts, and I didn't want to. My hand was kind of giving me problems, and I did not want to. I don't know, to put too much strain on it. So I didn't go very heavy. But I did a few sets at like 405, and I was doing that. I was doing 405 anywhere between 5 and like 8 reps.
Hmm.
And I noticed on my first set I forgot to breathe correctly. Um, and then the second set I was like, oh man, I need to start doing my breathing again. Where I would take a deep breath in before I actually pulled up, and then hold it all the way until I was coming back down. About two-thirds of the way back down, I'd start exhaling before I take a deep breath. And it was so much easier. So much easier. Like, I could have gone probably 10 to 12 reps of 405 after I started breathing correctly.
Hmm.
Um, it was just so much easier. I don't know. I can't even explain it. I mean, you gotta try it.
Yeah,
Just
it's
on
something you
every
have to
lift,
experience.
every heavy lift where you're straining a lot, you gotta try this heavy breathing. The one thing I will say is though that after you get done with your heavy lifts and you've done that type of breathing, you need to sit down
Yeah.
for about a good 30 seconds before even trying to stand up and walk
Well, yeah,
around.
because I mean, you get lightheaded, you get your like your blood pressure and all that stuff just probably skyrockets. Well, it's like when you do
That's
a
what,
really heavy
yeah.
lift and you put it down. You're like, all right, I'm gonna sit down for a second. You get all googly eyed and little loose in the head, I guess. Um, we've all seen that video. I don't know if you guys have seen it out there on YouTube where the guy does the deadlift and he puts it down. He's like, yeah, and he just falls into the dumbbell rack and his buddy's just looking at him laughing. It's like, dude, your friend probably just died.
Well, I mean, that guy, yeah, he deadlifted and then he decided to scream, stand up, put his arms above his head, and then scream. I mean, yeah, he was definitely going to pass out.
Yeah, that's. I mean, yeah. If you just scream really loud, just randomly, and you're like, oh, I feel like I can't. I'm gonna pass out. I don't know how they used to do those battle cries back in the day, because that's some pretty crazy shit.
A whole army is like, all right, do your battle cry. They just all faint.
Ah! Oh, you want us to? Hold on a second. I need to. Hold on, Arthur. I need a second over here. um, yeah. So I've recently. I know this doesn't seem very significant, but I'm gonna go into why. I recently started flossing, which
And that was like a bloody massacre, like your first day.
Yeah, well, I mean, do you floss at all
Whenever I get yelled at.
by the dentist?
Yeah, or just being yelled at for not flossing.
But who yells at you?
Who do you think?
I don't know. My guess.
Jamie.
Oh, okay, yeah, because it's one of those things like like I'll go to the dentist like you floss like no like you should, right? Fine, I'll floss today, and like you never floss again. And there's been a lot of really strong connections between flossing and heart disease, and and it is good to floss, and they are. And the reason I say is I remember reading um if you're not familiar with Dan John, he's a trainer. You know, he's been in the industry for a long time. And one of the things he said was floss. And you know, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. How is that going to make me stronger? And he goes into the whole flossing only takes maybe a couple minutes a day. They're like maybe max 5 minutes, and it has really strong connections to heart disease and being
Mm-hmm.
healthy. He's like, if you are not committed enough to floss, you're not committed enough to lift weights at a competitive level. And on the surface, it sounds really silly, but then you think about it, like that's really true because, like, hell, if I won't floss, then what the hell is making me say I'm gonna do that extra rep or hit the gym 4 times a week when I'm healthy? And you really start thinking about it, and it really makes a lot of sense. So it's one of those. It's kind of creating the habit of training for success, and I think that's one thing that you can, if you take anything away, at least from you know this podcast, it's don't uh unrack all your weights and try to create a habit. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's like when people say like, "Oh, I don't like lifting weights." Well, don't lift weights. Find something. There's enough sports
We
out
should
there.
start a new segment. Dennis's hygiene tip of the day.
Remember to wipe front to back.
Oh wow, yeah.
Especially with a kid. You don't ever want to do it the other way. If you don't know why, then just
front
look it up
front
or
to
wait till you have
back.
a kid. Yeah. It's I don't know why I know that. Don't ask me why I know that.
Front
Um
to back.
so I found the wrestler, the female wrestler who is
I just saw your email just came in.
yeah, we were talking about that today.
That is her.
There's a couple
You,
wrestlers at the gym and one of them is just she's she's gorgeous if you ask me. And it turns out she's a WWE wrestler.
yeah.
Um and those pictures don't do her justice. She's so much hotter in real life than those pictures. I don't know if you looked at any of them.
Well, they have a WWE like training place in
Well,
Tampa.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of wrestling things here. I mean, there's Florida Championship Wrestling and W. A lot. I mean, a lot of the wrestlers live here. Yeah.
Her name
Um.
is Caitlin appears to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. Yeah. But those pictures don't do her any justice. I saw.
Anything else that you know about her?
No, that's about it. That's about as far as my stalker tendencies go. Like, I'll look at it like, oh, that's her name. All right. And like, if you're seeing like, oh, it's Caitlin, and that's about it. Like, I would never ask the doctor or anything for that reasons. I don't get starstruck. I know some people get really starstruck. It's like, oh, that guy's on the radio, and like, oh my god, like so it's his job, you
But
know.
you didn't even really even stalk her. It was actually my friend from the gym
Yeah,
that did
yeah,
it.
that wasn't. You just you pointed out your friend pointed out that she was a
Did you
wrestler.
did you by any chance Google image search her?
No, I since you said she was a
Let's just
WWE
say you
diva,
should.
total creep. Like,
Don't.
see, it's one of those things where if I do something like that, I feel like a total creep. Speaking of which, let me. I know I told you the story, but I'm gonna tell everybody. We were at Muay Thai this week, and we are doing dips. We are doing body dips. So if you imagine you're sitting on the floor with your hands down by your waist, and you have
What were you saying, Dennis?
one foot on the ground and one foot raised in the air. So your hands are pointing forward. You need to basically like elevate yourself and dip. So it's already a very weird movement. I mean, it's you look at it and it looks weird, and you're doing it and it looks weird, and we're doing basically like Tabata style, so like 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and the girl next to me just starts literally screaming and moaning from the burn of the her triceps and stuff, and it got so bad. Like if you had closed your eyes, it sounded like you were watching a porno, or listening to a porno, and I actually had to stop. She was like ah. And I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" I'm like looking around. Is there anybody else noticing this, or is it just me? And oh god, it was hilarious. Yeah, it was hard to keep my composure. But yeah, that's my funny story of the week. Wah wah. I'm horrible
Wah,
at telling
wah.
stories. I'm horrible at telling stories. I need to get
That's
better at
okay.
that. I usually just trail off at the end, but nobody ever notices. So this week's exercise of the week is going to be the dip. If you don't do dips, you should. Um, and there's a couple ways of doing dips. You have dips with dip bars. You have dips, um, between like two chairs. If you don't have a dip bars or anything like that, you can also do different styles of dips. You can do weighted dips, which if you don't do, you should definitely start doing. It's almost a full body workout because it's going to hit up all your. First off, it's going to hit your triceps. It's going to hit your upper shoulders, and if you lean forward on the dip, it's going to hit your chest.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've been doing dips for a while now. I've basically incorporated it as the main exercise on my chest days because I can't really do chest due to my elbows. And yeah, that'll get you. I mean, if you think you're badass doing, say 225 on bench, go ahead and throw a 45-pound plate around your waist with a dip belt and go do dips and see how many you get. And that's just 45. Yeah, it's not an easy thing. So go do those, even if it's just body weight, and keep doing. Incorporate them into your main exercises.
That's another thing I meant to um, get if I ever get a home gym.
Mm-hmm. Dip bars.
I was talking to you about how basically I spend um, 90% of my workouts are probably pretty much spent at a power rack. What I can basically do everything there. Do
Yeah, I
shoulders
mean,
there. I mean, you could do bench there if you wanted to. Of course, your deadlifts, your squats, your what do we do? Overhead presses today.
yeah,
Did Did shrugs today with a barbell shrugs. I mean, you can do basically do 90% of my exercises can be done at a power rack. I mean, the only thing I would need is a power rack and probably like a glute ham machine, and that would complete
And just
like
build
my
like a deadlift
entire
station.
like home gym. Um, but then yeah, the weighted dip belt is a must-have. I think those are some,
Oh, I think we lost connection with Jason. Come back to us. Maybe. Maybe not.
and
Wait, you cut off for a couple like 20 seconds
I
there.
know. My favorite tricep exercises are becoming close grip bench press and
Mm-hmm.
weighted dips.
Yeah,
I
weighted
mean,
dips
you
are you
really
just
can't beat those.
I mean when you start putting on like I know we've done it like 245s and like a 25 or whatnot. You just yeah, it's just
Ooh,
it'll get you. It'll get
that
you.
just hurts. As soon as you put that full weight on your triceps, that just hurts.
Should have turned into a man. Even if you're a woman, it'll make you a man. So be
It
careful.
will. You will grow testicles.
Testicles or chesticles. Um, I think I just realized I think there's a clear distinction between powerlifting and bodybuilding. I think you can do powerlifting at a home gym, but I don't think you can do bodybuilding in a home gym. Like
No, you cannot.
if you're like being serious about it because you won't have the wider range of equipment or just dumbbells alone to do those kinds of exercises that you need to really like isolation exercises to really hit those muscles.
Yeah, for definitely for bodybuilding, you're going to have a full gym, a full range of machines. I mean, as much as I kind of discriminate against machines, I
They do
mean,
serve their
they are
purpose,
very useful for hitting, those small little muscles that you need to hit.
especially when you're tired.
Um,
Like if you're at the end of a workout, like say after you've been doing chest, it's not easy to do dumbbells, let's say, but you can easily jump on a machine and just because it's guided, it'll it'll essentially keep your form and you can just keep decreasing the weight until you can keep doing more.
that's the thing. When I like, sometimes I'll go to the gym, and on chest days especially, I really like doing a heavy bench day and a heavy incline bench,
Uh huh.
barbell. And then on if a day I'm feeling really good about it, I'll jump right into dumbbell presses and dumbbell incline. But I mean, dumbbells just suck the energy right out of you if you do them heavy
Yeah.
enough.
See,
Um,
that's I've mitigated down to just doing dumbbells because I can't the way my elbows are so screwed up. I can't do like straight like perpendicular to my body. I have to have them close in on me. And yeah,
hmm
that shit saps
But
you.
on days I don't feel like doing um, the the dumbbell presses, they have some they're like half free weight, half machine. It's just like the machine that you load all the free weights on
Mm-hmm.
to mimic. They have like three in a row. They mimic bench press, incline, and decline. And I'll just hit those really hard in place of doing dumbbells. But yeah,
Yeah, dips. That's that's where it's at, man.
that was our main discussion was dips. You gotta get those dips in.
Yeah, it's such a good exercise, and it's one of those things like even if you don't want to do it with weight, you can just do body weight. And if you don't want to do that, there's the dip machines where it'll actually decrease your weight. And it's funny seeing people like I know a couple friends who couldn't do like a single dip or anything. They had to jump on those, and when they did like a dip, it was like a huge achievement for them. And I thought that was interesting. Or it was just it's amusing to see somebody else hit a goal like that.
I
But
like I've seen guys doing like pull ups on the weighted machine to take weight off.
hmm yeah,
But yeah.
well, everybody's gonna start somewhere. Or if you're at the end of a workout, see, that's another thing too. Like you might come in and go, "Oh man, this guy's doing like really low weight," but he could be at the end of his workout for all you know. Um,
Well, that's the thing. I remember at one workout, um, I was doing back and buys that day, and I had already started out doing back exercises that were heavily intensive on your biceps as well. And before I had like 30 minutes left before I wanted to leave the gym to complete my workout, and I decided to go and do like barbell curls just to squeeze the last bit out of my biceps. And I wasn't doing anything heavy. I mean, it was like the bar and like maybe like a 25 or something like that on each side, and
hmm
I was just doing them, slow and letting them burn pretty well. And I still felt like I needed to do a little bit more on biceps. So I went and grabbed some dumbbells, and I think they might have been like 50s or something like that. And usually, if I'm fresh, I can do those pretty easily. I'll throw them up, for 10 reps on each arm,
Mm-hmm.
pretty easily. And these ones, I grab them and I start to go. And I mean, I was like struggling like right off the bat. Like I got probably like 5 reps done on each arm. And there was like these two older guys, and I swear to you, they were like, I mean, they were like in their 50s or something like that, and as skinny as can be. And they were like, "Oh, it looks like that's too much weight. Can't hardly do them," or something like that. I'm like, "I've been here for 2 hours." I was like,
Jackass.
I was just trying to burn out. I was like, "You just got here, buddy." And yeah, that's I said that and just kind of like left, and they were like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa," like all like taken back and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Yeah, don't call me out. I've been here for 2 hours already. You're just getting in here."
Yeah. Oh well, you never know. It's one of those. It's one of those. If you've ever read Seven Highly Effective Habits or Habits of Seven Highly whatever 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, we were forced to read that in high school. It's the whole. You ever heard of the paradigm shift?
Somewhat.
It's like you're looking at something from a certain angle, and um, something happens, and you change your point of view. Where the example they give in the book is where this guy's on the subway and the kid's just being really loud, and he's like, "What the hell's wrong with his mother?" And so he eventually says something like, "Hey, would you mind quieting down your kid?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm really sorry. My husband just died, and I don't." She was just she was in a haze, and he goes, "Oh shit!" And it is a paradigm shift where he goes from being like, "What the hell is wrong with this bitch?" to "Holy shit, that's you know, I totally
That was
understand."
the. Did you read that story on Reddit today? You probably didn't,
Nope.
but it was about the guy that worked at what's that Men's Warehouse. He worked at Men's Warehouse, right?
Uh huh.
And he thought this lady was being a little rude or like that. So she like walks in. He goes, "How may I help you?" And she goes, "Where are your toddler tuxedos?" And he goes, "They're right over here." And she takes him over there, and he
I already
goes,
know where this is going, probably.
what size is your toddler or something like that?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, is is he growing, or like or is he
Oh God.
fatter or something like that, and is he his weight and stuff like that, and is he gonna need to grow into it and stuff like that?" And he's like asking these questions, and she's giving him like like kind of like not very informative answers, and he's like trying to get it out of her. And finally he asks like one more question, and she goes, "He's dead."
Oof.
She goes, "I'm buying this tuxedo to bury him in." And that's one of those, I guess.
Yeesh. That's crazy. Oof.
Yeah.
Um.
I mean, I don't know if the story is true because a lot of that stuff is made up,
Yeah,
but
but it's still. I mean, it's still one of those. A lot of stories are made up, and they're still profound. But yeah, that's about all I have for this week for on my slate. I don't know if you have anything else
what else we
you'd
had to
like.
discuss? Anything?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of
Did you
anything
ever
else now.
check? Did you ever check to see if we got any more responses back,
Nope.
or?
No comments, no questions, nothing. Still have to send out some stuff. Um, yeah,
Oh,
if
we
you.
had a very uneventful week. What happened? All of a sudden, we had like people asking for shirts, and then no one wants shirts anymore. And then, I mean, what did you do? Did you all like scream at them or something like that?
No, I've been busy, but yeah,
Did you send
no,
like nasty messages
no
to them?
questions or comments. No, yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, funny stories, funny pictures, anything you might find slightly amusing, send them to show@eatsleeplift.com. That's SHOW at eatsleeplift.com. And hopefully I'll get to them since I only check that email once every like 4 days because we don't get an email. So, I mean, why would I check it every day? It's like, oh, nothing different. So, but yeah, that's that. We got to do a little zombie apocalypse survival scenarios and see how we would do with regards to weight training and stuff. Like what we would do, like where would you get our protein from and stuff. I think that'd be, especially with the apocalypse coming.
Now, I'm assuming, just as a side note, I'm assuming you watched that Doomsday Prepper show.
That I'm starting to get kind of upset because that's all they show on Nat Geo now. Like if you turn on that channel, that's the only thing they show on there.
And you're upset about that?
Well, I mean, it's a decent show and it's gotten better, I think, with the production value, but it's God, I mean, shit. Every freaking channel now is just stupid reality TV show. That's all there is. Like, I understand it a little bit, but like, whatever happened to TLC? TLC now is all like Honey Boo Boo stuff and whatever. It's just aggravating. That's why I don't watch TV anymore.
It's what America wants, my friend.
It's aggravating.
What is it? The Honey Boo Boo got I got a higher rating than the presidential debates.
Well, that's essentially the same thing, though. I mean, the debates is just like I need both sides. They're just
What's a better what's a better not waste of time, but what would you rather spend your time on, watching a retarded like 5-year-old, or watching two potential world leaders discuss influencing decisions?
well, the obvious answer is a debate, but the thing is, we all know politics is all a farce. So in actuality, you're probably better off watching Honey Boo Boo. You're at least gonna get some entertainment value out of it. But yeah, that's why politics is the way it is, because nobody pays attention to it.
This is why the rest of the world laughs at us.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody. Well, I've come to the realization that a lot of people hate us because we've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. Like, think about it. In what, 200 years, we essentially put people on the moon. Whatever happened to all these other countries that have been around for centuries? Nothing. So, I think that's part of it. That, and we're just a bunch of cocky bastards.
That's what I'm going with. I think it's more along those lines.
But we're cocky because we've accomplished things, though. I'm not saying we don't have our problems, but
yeah, I think there's a lot.
We're on a quick downfall.
A lot of other problems with Americans in general, in terms of how they see the world. It's like America is the world, no one else exists.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the old saying. It's why God created wars, was for Americans to learn geography.
Which we still don't. Most people can't point out Iraq or Afghanistan on a map.
What was that?
Or even the U.S. They can't point out U.S. on the map.
What was that? That model or whatever it was, America. Oh, no, it was the Miss like USA. And she was like the country of Africa or something.
She is just so flustered at that question that she just. I mean, you can't even like fault her really. She just went so far off the deep end. It was just comedic.
The country of Africa.
Well, most people do think Africa's a country. They don't know that there's actually countries in Africa.
It's just a big hodgepodge. I mean, it's funny, and then the concept. I mean, it's like funny when you talk about like Egypt or something like that, and they think they have no idea like where Egypt is, and you tell them it's actually in Africa, and they're like
what?
Like, you mean it's not all by itself, like a continent by itself, or something?
You mean
like that?
Russia's in Asia? Like, no. What the? I love telling it to people, like, Russians are Asians, right? They're like, no. I'm like,
that is awesome.
Indians are also Asian.
Indians are Asian. What
Middle
else?
Eastern Arabs are
Russians
Asian.
are Asian. It's
like, no, we're not. I'm like, you are.
Yes, you are.
But so that's that.
That's enough of that.
Yeah, it's way off topic. But yeah,
I guarantee we'll probably get more listeners though off talking about that kind of stuff than we will.
We need to put that shit at the beginning of it. We should just do like a shit show podcast. Where it's just us bullshitting about fucking anything and everything. We should find another
one. We should have like a segment called "Why the World Hates Americans," and we should come up every podcast come up with another reason. It's not gonna be that hard. We'll have like
steroids.
We'll have like thousands of podcasts to go before we run out of material for that.
Why do people hate us? Because we have bacon cheeseburgers. Oh yeah.
And freedom fries.
Ugh. Yeah. So yeah, any questions, comments, or concerns, show@eatsleeplift.com. You're listening to episode number 14. Until next time, I'm Dennis.
And Jason.
Remember, lift heavy. Oh yeah.